In the previous video, we completed the first part of Batu's story. If you have not watched it yet, you're welcome to click the link and enjoy. Next, we are about to start the second part of Batu's story. Exciting content is about to unfold, so please stay tuned. In the autumn of 1240, the colors between heaven and earth gradually changed, and the vitality of all things seemed to be blown away by the autumn wind. At this time, Batu led his Mongol army, carrying the dusty atmosphere, advancing towards Kyiv. Their goal was clear, their determination firm to conquer this strong city. When they arrived outside the city, the soldiers and citizens of Kyiv were already prepared for a stubborn resistance. Their eyes were determined, each person armed, ready to fight at any time. The walls of Kyiv were tall and solid, the defenders excellent. Every corner had archers aiming, determined to defend the city they loved deeply. However, for Batu, who had already claimed victories in several battles, this resistance could not stop his steps. He commanded his warriors to set up their siege weapons, aiming at the city walls, and initiated their fierce attack. Each bombardment landed on the walls with fiery fervor, causing tremors with each collision. After days of intense siege, the defenses of Kyiv finally collapsed. Batu, along with his army, successfully conquered the city. They did not halt, but continued westward, launching an attack on the kingdom of Galicia-Volhynia and breaking through its capital, Vladimir-Volynski, and other cities. In the spring of 1241, when the world was admiring cherry blossoms, Batu was ready for a new conquest against Hungary. He left 30,000 troops to garrison South Volhynia, while the remaining 120,000 troops were divided into three routes to sweep through Hungary. The northern route, led by Batu, conquered the Polish capital, Krakow, and then entered Silesia in the Battle of Legnica. They won against a larger force of 30,000 Polish and German allied troops. This battle sent shockwaves throughout Europe, instilling unprecedented threats of Mongol invasion. At the same time, the southern route, led by Kaydan, seized cities like Lutsk and Volodymyr-Volynski, and rendezvoused with Batu's main forces. Batu and Subotai then led the main army into the Kingdom of Hungary, eventually arriving outside of Budapest. The city was so fortified that they could not break through. Therefore, Batu decided to lure the enemy out of the city and then encircle them outside the city under the cover of night. They first bombarded the city, then opened a way for the enemy to escape and pursued and killed them. As a result, they defeated 60,000 Hungarian troops in the Battle of the Volga River. They subsequently took Budapest together. In the summer of the same year, a Mongolian vanguard arrived near Neustadt, near Vienna, but was repelled by the allied forces of Austria and Bohemia. However, in December, Batu led his main forces across the Danube, successfully seizing the town of Gran. From spring to winter of that year, Batu and his Mongol army were constantly advancing. No mountains, rivers, lakes, or fortified cities could stop their progress. In 1242, a year filled with the smoke of war, Batu led his army with unmatched momentum, sweeping across various regions and moving unobstructed upstream of the Danube. But when news of Gheorghe Khan's death arrived, Batu was shocked and led his troops back east. On their way back, Batu encountered a rebellion by the Kipchak people, but like a raging fire, he swept away all obstacles. Batu then decided to stay at the camp downstream of the Itil River, where he established the Golden Horde, named after the original Kipchak territory. He chose Sarai as his capital and began to manage eastern Russia. That same year, Yaroslav I, Grand Prince of Vladimir, visited Batu to receive his charter. This method became his strategy for managing eastern Russia and gradually became a custom. As for West Russia, Batu didn't hesitate. He ordered Grand Duke Daniel of Galicia to surrender his authority to a Mongol general, incorporating it into Mongolian territory. This move further solidified his power, his dominance as unshakable as the earth, with none able to challenge him. His name, Batu, became one of the most brilliant symbols in this world. His subordinates also called him Sain Khan, which means benevolent Khan, because of his generosity. In 1243, The howling of the wind echoed in the Ural River valley. The cold wind cut across Batu's face, his eyes glinting like cold stars. Yet his heart was colder than this wind. He learned of the plot of Naimanzan, who wanted to promote his enemy Giyu as the Great Khan, which chilled him to the core. He pressed his lips tightly, deciding to make a decision that would shock everyone. He ordered the loyal Subutai and his kings to continue marching eastward, while he himself stayed behind under the pretext of illness. "You can't do this, Lord Batu," Subutai nervously said, his voice somewhat weak in the swift wind. "Your absence will raise suspicion." Batu's eyes were filled with determination. He replied, "I have decided, you guys go first." Subutai wanted to say something more, but seeing Batu's resolute gaze, he ultimately chose to remain silent. Meanwhile, Naimanzan had already sent multiple envoys urging Batu to attend the meeting. His absence as the head of the royal family would cause suspicion and dissatisfaction. "I will go, you rest assured," Batu faintly promised the envoy. But he knew in his heart that he would definitely not leave his territory for a meeting. He would prove to everyone with his actions that Batu wielded immense power. The chilling wind of 1248 roiled across the grasslands when Giyu ascended to the throne of the Great Khan. His hatred for Batu had been deeply imprinted in his heart. In the early spring of that year, Giyu called upon the tribal elders and warriors, openly declaring that he would wage war on Batu in the name of a Western tour. His voice echoed in the wind like a winter blizzard, chilling all who heard it. But at the other end of the grassland, a messenger on a fast horse arrived at Batu's tent in the night. He was a secret envoy of Sora Hetini, the wife of Torajin, who had been trying to win over Batu. He delivered Sora Hetini's warning, giving Batu a full warning of Giyu's attack. "Lord Giyu is going to act against you, Lord Batu," the messenger said softly. Hearing this news, Batu's eyes instantly sharpened. He immediately sounded the gong to gather his troops, marching eastward, ready to strike first. But when they arrived at the Altai Mountains, a piece of shocking news arrived. Giyu fell suddenly ill at Hengxianga and died in his own tent. "Giyu is dead, Lord Batu," a scout reported as he rode up. The news plunged the entire army into silence. Batu looked at the mountain range in front of him. A sense of inexplicable sentiment rose in his heart. He ordered the troops to stop and then gave the command, "Turn back." They crossed the cold grassland again, with no shadow of war. Only the howling wind and the clash of horse hooves. They headed towards home, back to their beloved grassland. The news of Giyu's sudden death spread quickly on the grassland, shocking every tribe, every person. His death signified a power vacuum and marked the beginning of a new power struggle. Giyu's wife, Ogul Gaimish, was a smart woman. She realized that her son was too young to inherit the position of the Great Khan. So she adopted a different strategy. She requested Batu, the strongest of the Mongol factions, and Sora Hetini of the Torajin faction to allow her to serve as regent temporarily, until a new Great Khan was elected. Batu, with his seniority and power, agreed to this request. But Batu's ambition did not stop there. As the senior royal prince, he held the power to organize and summon princes from all factions. Looking at the grassland in front of him, a new plan gradually formed in his mind. He soon sent envoys inviting various princes and ministers to his station for a Kurultai to discuss the election of a new Great Khan. However, this invitation received different responses in various places. Most of the princes from the Ogadai and Chagatai factions, who supported them, chose to reject, unwilling to step into a storm that might cost them everything. Knowing that she couldn't resist Batu's power, Gaimish sent her minister, Bola, to represent her at the meeting. Sora Hetini, on the other hand, sent her eldest son, Menki, his brothers and vassals with a different purpose in mind. In 1250, the sun shone on the Tarakarakuram Kurultai, jointly organized by the Torajin and Jochi factions on the Mongolian grassland. On the green grassland, hundreds of tents were compactly arranged, forming a huge circle, symbolizing unity and strength. The meeting began. Sunlight poured through the gaps of the tents, illuminating the faces of attendees, revealing their doubts, worries, and hopes for the future. Some suggested electing Batu, the eldest, as Great Khan. Batu listened calmly, and when he stood up to speak, the air in the tent seemed to freeze. He declined the proposal, but lavished all praise on Menki. He emphasized Menki's talent, his merits, and that as the eldest son of Tolui inheriting Genghis Khan's estate, he was the most suitable to be the great Khan. His voice echoed through the tent, bright and powerful, as if from a distant past, through the eye of the storm, into some future moment. Then Batu and Sartak, the son of Subutai, commanded all attendees to endorse Menki as the great Khan. There was no debate. Only a moment of silence, then the shouting and cheering of the people, symbolizing the start of a new era. Menki stood quietly, his tribespeople behind him, his nation and future in front of him. After an appropriate silence, he took his place on the throne, becoming the new great Khan. However, the Vogadai and Chegato factions did not recognize this election. Sorahatini and Menki decided to hold another Kurultai. This time, they would invite more princes and hold an official coronation ceremony at the Horju of Genghis Khan. After Menki ascended to the throne, the once united Mongol Empire became a vibrant yet contradictory picture. Batu's power was greatly enhanced at this moment. He not only gained more trust by endorsing Menki, but also placed Volga Bulgaria, the Taraz region, and the region of Khorasan under his control. His influence penetrated the entire Mongol Empire. Menki Khan's favor did not end there. He granted the land of Georgia to Batu's brother Berk. The Batu family was in its heyday at this time. Their status was unrivaled, and their power spread across the empire. After a dramatic change in 1251, the Golden Horde rose to be the most powerful vassal state of the Greater Mongol state. Their territory was vast, starting from the source of the Irtysh River in the east, where the river, like a skilled sculptor, carves the wide land. The territory extended south to the Caspian Sea, where the sea shone golden under the sun, seemingly celebrating the rise of the Golden Horde. Their lands encompassed the western Rus principalities, towering over the eastern edge of Europe, becoming a sturdy barrier for the Mongol Empire. To the north, it extended to the Upper Volga, where the river was cold and peaceful, as if guarding the frigid northern frontier of Mongolia. The Golden Horde painted a grand canvas on the earth, with every inch of the land narrating their power and glory. Other vassal states of the Greater Mongol state paled in their presence because neither the vastness of the territory nor the prosperity of the people could compare with the Golden Horde. In the year 1256, Batu passed away quietly on the banks of the Volga River, ending his 48-year life journey. Batu, this great leader of the Mongol Empire, led a life filled with strong will and firm determination. His reign was the empire's most prosperous period. The Golden Horde that he established, spanning the vast land from the Irtysh River to the Volga River, became the largest vassal state of the Greater Mongol state. Yet, Batu's greatness was not limited to his military accomplishments and leadership skills. He was a strategist who knew how to reconcile various powers and balance different interests. His wisdom and insight made him a true national leader even after his death. His influence remained profound. In our next video, we will be sharing the story of Mutikan, the eldest legitimate son of Chagatai. Stay tuned for the content of the next episode. If you like this story, please help us by subscribing and sharing. Thank you.